Alright, so I don't know if this is going to work or not, but what we got is an 18 volt Ryobi NiCad old drill that is absolutely dead as a hammer. I mean, you got nothing on it here. And what I found at Harbor Freight is an 18 volt lithium replacement battery for one of their drills. I don't have that drill, but I figured the battery, if this is an 18 volt and this is an 18 volt, maybe I can take all the NiCads out of here and take all the lithiums out of here, replace the lithiums into this, and then see if that works. So anyway, this battery pack is much smaller here than that one. And obviously all the connections are different, so I'm going to have to completely take them apart, but just a couple Phillips head screws on this one as well as on this one. So let's go ahead and pop them open and then see what we got. Alright, so here we go. We got both of them taken apart. 4 screws and the Harbor Freight battery all on the bottom here. 6 screws on the Ryobi battery, and they were countersunk all the way down in there, so they were a little bit harder to pull out, but got all those out. Obviously we got a huge size difference in these. Luckily I'm going from the smaller form to the larger form, so hopefully I got enough room to work inside here and be able to put anything in there. I know there's a lot of videos of people who put balance boards and soldered together all their own batteries and all that good stuff, but hopefully all this has all that in there, and I can just basically rip the guts out of here and then stick them in here, and we'll see how it works. If it works, it'll be cool. If it doesn't, no biggie. I'm out like 20 bucks on this thing. This was $20 for the battery, and it came with a charger for it, so it's got a charger. It's just got an external charger port right here on the side of the battery, which is kind of cool. If it works, I'll probably do the same thing, just drill a hole right here and have that external charger here instead of using this big old humongous charger that came with the Ryobi originally, 15 years ago or however old this drill is. It was a great drill. It's just, of course, these NiCad batteries wear out, and then they want, $60 for a replacement battery or whatever. They're very difficult to get. So let's see what's going on inside here. Okay, obviously we do have the balance board here, and it looks like the battery pack is up underneath it here, and then under here okay, obviously this top battery has our electrical connectors on it, so we'll have to reuse that. Clip the wires and then glue it back in here somehow or another, but then rip all these batteries out over here and then put all this inside here. So let me pull all that out and see how it looks. Alright, so we got the batteries pulled out. This one's obviously much larger. This one from Harbor Freight was real simple. It's basically everything's all in one package here. You got your batteries here. They're all connected to the balance board. This got the charger port and the LED and the connections that go to your battery all the way across the top. So it's all in one modular unit. Unfortunately, it is not a drop-in and replace. It's I don't know, a 1/4 inch or so too wide to go that way. You can see how much wider it is than the original batteries, and of course it's nowhere near that away, so we're going to have to figure out how to probably take this apart to put it in there. But it's got like a plastic holder that all these batteries are connected to. I think we could probably pull that apart, so it's not going to be an easy swap, throw it in there type hack, but it is doable, I think. So we're going to play with it and see what we can get. Got 3 connections across the top here. Got 3 connections across the top here. Obviously you got your main positive on one side, your main negative on the other side, and I have no idea what the third port's for, but I got the same thing here, so I'm just going to find which one's the main positive, which one's the main negative, and connect them that way, and then connect the middle one for whatever it is. I'm not really sure what it does. Using a multimeter just to check the polarity, make sure you get it on the right side. On my specific battery, it's actually marked where it tells you positive on this side and negative over here. So as long as I put the positive on this side, which would be here, which would be this terminal, then I'll be okay. I think the main positive on this battery is actually over here. If I put my meter across here to here, well, you can actually see it's 1595. I haven't charged this battery. It's supposed to be an 18-volt battery. I just took it out of the box and started taking it apart. I didn't want to charge it just yet because I knew I was going to be playing with it and soldering it, so I didn't want those batteries to be fully charged up before I start playing with it, just in case I arc something over, because this is a live battery. This one, on the other hand, can probably do whatever I want to with, because if I go all the way across from outside to out, it's at 0.3 volts. Yeah, so 3/10 of a volt. So I could probably arc those straight across and wouldn't have any adverse effect. Obviously, I got at least one, maybe multiple open or bad cells in here, but I'm not even going to try and worry about fixing that. I'm going to try and hack this up to see if we can get it to fix in there. So we'll see what we can do. Okay, so that third connection has actually got a blue wire right here that's going to it from this middle connector, and a black wire that's going to it from the most negative connector. And it's going to, blue and the black are going to this little device. I don't know if that's some sort of a starting capacitor or maybe a thermal sensor to be sure the battery doesn't overheat, something like that. I don't know. I may keep that in the circuit to see if it needs it, to see if it works, and then I may see if I can figure out where this third lead is going to right here. Not sure yet. So on the Harbor Freight battery, that third connector, it is got some type of a sensor right there that's on the battery as well, very similar to the one that was on the Ryobi over here. So I guess that's its version of it, so I'll go ahead and use that. This battery, I'm not really sure how they put it together, but it looks like it was all put together at the same time. Kind of difficult to figure out what to take apart first. It looks like I'm going to have to just rip off all this plastic that's connected together, which is kind of a shame because it's all kind of like molded in there and nicely. But I'm just going to take some clippers and just go to town on this thing and rip all that plastic apart and see if I can get inside there. So I think it might be easier if I unsolder all these connections on it first, and then see if I can pull this black plastic off. That plastic's actually pretty thick, and cutting into it, I mean, you got no room to get your clips or your snips up on the other side of this. So it's really going to be kind of difficult, as well as I'm probably going to have to unsolder them anyway. So I'm just going to unsolder all these wires. I'm upstairs here at my soldering station, and we'll get that going here in a minute and see what happens. Alright, so I got all the wires unsoldered or desoldered. I went ahead and labeled them. This is my main black, my main negative. White wire, yellow wire. On the other side you got your main positive, you got your black wire, and then the little red wire on there. So after you unsolder them, looks like these plastic things slide right off. Gotta move these around and work on it, maneuver it. Let me get two hands. Okay, definitely needed two hands, three if you got them, to get those black things off. But once you do, then you can see how the battery just kind of springs all apart. So hopefully it'll be easier to kind of maneuver it around and see if we can figure out how to get this to fit inside there somehow or another. I don't know how we're going to do it just yet, but I'll play with it and see what kind of works best for me. So what I decided to do is, I think I got three of them did right here, and I just cut this one tab off right here. So I'm going to do three that way, and then two kind of right on top of it like this, and those lay flat enough. I should be able to get all this put back together here. and that leaves me plenty of room up front for this here balance board. Obviously it's got the connectors here on that side. I could unsolder the connectors and then run some wires out to them and then cut a hole in the side, but what I honestly think I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the connector on there for the power port and the LED, and I think I'm just going to stick it in here somehow and then cut some holes on the outside where they pop out right here where you'll be able to get to them. Then of course I got to take off these main connectors here, the big ones that go up to the top to the battery, resolder some heavy gauge wire to them, probably I don't know, some number 12 gauge wire I think should be plenty, and then bring that all the way up to these connectors here, because that's got to go up in this little tower all the way up here to connect to the top into the battery. And then of course solder all the other wires back to all of the correct spots on all the batteries. So we'll go upstairs, do some soldering, and let y'all know what it looks like. Alright, time to laugh at me. Yes, I just used some painter's tape to hold the batteries together for right now. And there's where I reconnected those two. You can laugh at my soldering job, that's fine. That's a number 14 Romex bar, so I figured that'd be plenty to hold it. Went on ahead and got this prepped out. Took all the these connectors off of the 3 spots here, and those are kind of difficult to get off, but I'll be soldering some wires back on there. For the main wires going up to the top, up where that is, I think I'm going to use the rest of this Romex I got. It was just a small piece of regular home wiring Romex. It's 14 gauge. And of course I'm going to pull all the individual conductors out of it and just use each individual conductor on there as a solid core. 14 gauge should be plenty to hold the current. So it's I'm going to extend out all these wires. All these are really short to get to where I need them to be. So I was able to find some actual correct color code wires that I had, and I'm just going to pull all these out and resolder them in one by one to get those longer, and then solder them back to the batteries over here. Alright, so I got all the little signal wires pulled out and replaced with these longer jumper wires. Of course I'll cut them to length, but also need to replace these the main power wires that went to the main positive and main negative of the battery pack. I know I said I was going to use Romex for that, but instead I think I'm going to use, I got an old lamp cord here that I cut off, and this is like 18 gauge braided, so I think I'll use some pieces of that instead. So let's get those soldered together and see what it looks like. Alright, so we got the power wires replaced. With the cord I have didn't have any obviously red and black conductors in it, but it had brown, blue, and green for whatever reason, I don't know, but I chose brown to be the main negative, blue to be the main positive, and I'll put that on the ones that are going to the battery here, as well as the ones that are going up to the drill that are going this way. So now I got to take this off of here, those 3, and figure out how to put it on the end of here so I can go up into the tower on the thing, then resolder all these back into the battery pack over here that we've been playing with. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, so as far as getting this off, there wasn't that much to it, just a lot of clipping and pulling, and got the connector that was off the top. Here's a connector here that I went on ahead and soldered my wires back onto the end of it in the proper polarity, I hope. I checked it a couple of times before I soldered it, but of course we'll really know when we put it in the drill if nothing happens. So, but that I believe this is a thermometer. This is a little sensor that came off of it, as well as the ones that are on here on this board of those 2 little bitty external thermometer leads right here. There's 2 of them that were glued to the battery and then taped on it with this little yellow tape, whatever that's for. But anyway, I'll go ahead and tape those back to the battery whenever I put it back together in the same configuration. But first I got to get all these wires soldered onto the battery pack in the proper configuration, and then hopefully all this will fit back in here how we had it all laid out before. So let's give that a try. Okay, so we got all the pieces soldered back together. We got the connector that goes into the battery, we got the balance board, and we got all the wires soldered over going back to the battery pack. Now it's time to get some real insulating tape, insulate out all these terminals. This is obviously a live battery. Now it's going to be sure that none of these conductors short over on top of each other. So I'm going to go ahead and get this all taped up, sealed up, and then see if we can get this squeezed back into, well, not back into, but for the first time into that box there, then figure out where we need to cut our holes at for our charging port and our LED. So let me get that all taped up, then I'll bring you back. Okay, so I gotta admit, curiosity got the most of me before I got to taping up and isolating any of this stuff. I wanted to see if it'll actually work first before I spend all the time. So I just crammed that up in here where the connectors go. And then I was looking in my drill, because it's got the 3 conductors. We know that this one on this side is the most positive, that one's the most negative, and that's that one off those temperature sensors that's over there. But when I started looking up in the drill, if you can see up in there, there's only 2 conductors inside the drill anyway. It just wants the most positive and the most negative. There's not even a connector for that third one, so you don't even really have to connect that one. At least on this drill you don't. Other drills may be different, but like I said, curiosity got the best of me because I wanted to see if it even worked. Now remember, this battery wasn't charged up. Carefully kind of stick that in, and it works. And that's of course correct polarity too, so because it's turning in the right directions. Like I said, that battery was really weak. We saw that before we ever done it because I never charged it up. But at least this lets me know that the efforts are worthwhile and it is going to work. So let's just finish getting this thing all put back together and we'll catch you back. Alright, so I just threw some hot glue down in there to kind of hold that little connector in there and get ready to start taping up the connectors on the batteries. And in case you're wondering, these are 3.7 volt 1300 milliamp hour lithium batteries as to what these are. Alright, so that's what we got with everything kind of crammed in there. What I did was just kind of eyeballed it, drilled a hole in there. Obviously it's kind of walled out a little bit too big, but I did wall it out to be able to fit that charging plug that's in there. Just kind of sandwiched everything in there. There was way too much room in there for that board to be bouncing around, so I actually took a little piece of wooden dowel rod and just kind of hot glued it in place right there on the back side to kind of hold it in case you're plugging the plug in and it jams the board back. Cause I really don't want to come back in here again to do anything with this. But anyway, that's it so far. We got everything kind of laid out and ready to go, so let's screw it back together, and then I can work on filling in those other little holes around there so dust and stuff doesn't get in there. Probably just with some more hot glue. That's what I used kind of on the inside there. Alright, so we got it all put back together again. It's all the screws are back. It didn't quite line up just perfect on me. I don't know if I got something pinched in there, but I'm not really worried about that. But main thing is, let's see if we got the charger. This is the factory charger that came with the Harbor Freight drill, and we're just going to plug it in here. And it looks like we're charging. Then after we get charged up, then we'll see what the drill does any better. And honestly, probably when I put this back into the drill over here, when I connect these together, I'll probably never take them apart again. So if you can charge it from exterior like this, no sense in taking that battery off. But anyway, let's let that get charged up, then we'll see how it does. Alright, so after about 5 hours, the light finally went off on it, so it looks like it's ready to go. about that? I still haven't filled that in yet because I was working on charging it, making sure it charged first. Yeah, a little bit of a crack there, and I'm a real biggie, I said. Like I said, I'll probably never take the battery pack back off. It'll just charge it right there as it is. Well, let's see what it'll do. Alright, so we got a 2.5 inch construction screw, fixed head screw here, and a 2x6 over here. So let's see how it'll do here. I'm all the way on max here on the 24. I'm going to hit this, turn this down, this clutch on here. See if I can keep it from bottoming out all the way. I am moving it to a new spot each time, so I'm not drilling up and down the same hole each time. And that screw is getting awful hot. Okay, so obviously it's doing what it's supposed to be doing here. And that drill, I don't know, dozen or so holes with this thing, and it seems to be doing just fine. What I like about this drill is it's got these little pockets back here, these little snaps where you can snap in your bits. Seems like most modern manufacturers don't do it. It's actually got two of them, so you can pop one in on each side while you're using something else on your drill end. You can actually have your storage spot for your other one here. It's also got a level right here, so I know when I'm perfectly level, you can watch the bubble move up and down on it. Be sure you get it right in the center, and that way you know that you're drilling perfectly level. It's also got another one here on the end, a little end bubble, where you can kind of line it up. A lot of drill manufacturers have since not used this type of little add-ons to their drill. Also, the coolest thing about this drill is right down here, it's got a little magnetic base. So if you have some screws that are magnetic or something, you can just drop them and they'll stick right there on it while you're working. And it's kind of really neat little add-on thing. So if when you're working, you can keep an extra couple of screws right there for your use. Overall, with this hack, I'm satisfied with it. This was still a good drill. Just the battery on it was toast. If I had to do it all over again, probably would, I guess, just to save the drill. I hate to have to throw the drill away just because the battery isn't any good. So for $20 at Harbor Freight with the 20% coupon, you get it for $18 and plus tax. You get one of these little lithium battery packs and rejuvenate your drill. Now, if I didn't have the drill, obviously it wouldn't be worth doing it, going out and buying a drill. If the NiCad pack itself was still good. Would I have done this? Probably not. I probably would have used the existing NiCad pack. Is it the best drill in the world? No, obviously not. Is it top 10? No, obviously not. Is it better than the drill that Harbor Freight sells for this specific battery? Yeah, probably so. It probably is better because it's got all these other features. It's got the clutch, it's got 2 gears, it's got everything else that kind of goes along with it. So if you have an old drill, you know, Ryobi, DeWalt, Milwaukee, whatever the manufacturer of a good old drill, and you know, interested in doing that, I'm sure yours will be kind of similar. So yeah, it was kind of a fun project, and I probably wouldn't use this as my main drill, but you know, if you're on a, you know, 2 or 3 drill project, you know, where you got one drill where you're drilling holes, you got another drill where you're you know, screwing in screws or doing countersinks. You know, this would be a great drill. Instead of having to change out bits on one drill, you can have 3 different drills set up. You know, one with the drill, one with the countersink, and one with the screw. You know, this would, I think it worked fine in one of those applications. But if you're, you know, using it every day in construction, you know, go get you a real drill. But for an average homeowner, a little hack, it's kind of neat. So let me know if y'all like it. This is my first video ever, so you know, let me know how it went and what I can do better on the next time. And hope y'all have a great day. Thank you.